How'd you get here?
I followed you.
JJ, who is it?
JJ, what a super name.
It's a little girl from the bus.
Behind the Laughter, The Untold Story of Good Times, 1974-1979. What's up, TV lovers? Today we're diving deep into one of television's most groundbreaking sitcoms that changed America forever. If you've ever shouted dynamite or shed tears over the struggles of a family fighting to survive in the Chicago projects, then you're already part of the Good Times legacy. Hit that subscribe button and notification bell because what I'm about to reveal might forever change how you see this iconic show. When Good Times premiered on CBS in February 1974, it wasn't just another sitcom, it was a cultural revolution. For the first time in television history, America welcomed a complete, loving black family into their living rooms every week. Set in Chicago's notorious Cabrini Green housing projects, the Evans family showed viewers that even in the toughest circumstances, strong family bonds and unwavering dignity could prevail. But the path to creating this landmark series was anything but smooth, and the behind-the-scenes drama often rivaled the emotional storylines that played out on screen. What most viewers never realized was that Good Times was born from a powerful demand by one determined actress who refused to compromise her vision of authentic black representation. Before Good Times existed, Esther Rolle had already brought the character of Florida Evans to life as the housekeeper on the hit show Maude. When CBS executives approached Norman Lear about spinning Florida off into her own series, Rolle made an unprecedented stand that would change television history. She refused to play a single mother. Despite the network's initial concept, Rolle was adamant that her character must have a husband and a complete family. "I had a father," Rolle stated in a rare 1975 interview with Ebony magazine. "I refuse to participate in perpetuating the myth that black fathers are deserters and don't care about their children. I don't play stereotypes." Her bold stance wasn't just about her character. It was a deliberate attempt to counter damaging stereotypes about black families that dominated American media. This was 1974, when most portrayals of black families on television were incomplete or dysfunctional. Rolle understood the power of representation and was determined to show America a strong, unified black family with two loving parents at its center. The network eventually relented, and the search began for an actor who could embody the strength, dignity, and love Rolle envisioned for Florida's husband. They found their perfect match in John Amos, a former football player turned actor who brought remarkable depth and authenticity to the role of James Evans Sr. When I read for the part, Amos later revealed, "I knew this wasn't just another acting job. This was a chance to show America something they'd never seen before, a hard-working black man who would do anything for his family, who led with love and principle. I felt the weight of that responsibility every single day on set." The chemistry between Rolle and Amos was immediate and powerful. Their portrayal of James and Florida Evans created one of television's most authentic marriages. Loving, yet realistic, supportive, yet sometimes contentious. They were partners in every sense, facing poverty, racism, and the daily challenges of raising 3 children in a dangerous environment with unflinching determination and occasional moments of joy. Completing the Evans family were their 3 children: James J.J. Evans Jr., Jimmy Walker; Thelma Evans, Bernadette Stannis; and Michael Evans, Ralph Carter. Each brought something unique to the family dynamic. J.J. with his artistic talent and comedic relief, Thelma with her beauty and ambition, and Michael, nicknamed the militant midget by his family, with his intellectual prowess and social consciousness. The show was an immediate hit, resonating with viewers across racial and economic lines. For black viewers, it offered rare representation that reflected real struggles and triumphs. For white Americans, many of whom had never seen an authentic portrayal of life in the inner city, Good Times provided a window into a world that mainstream media largely ignored. But as the show's popularity grew, so did tensions behind the scenes. The unexpected breakout star of Good Times wasn't James or Florida, but their eldest son JJ, played with infectious energy by Jimmy Walker. His catchphrase, "Dynamite," added at the insistence of director John Rich against Norman Lear's initial objections, became a national sensation. Suddenly, J.J. Evans was everywhere, on T-shirts, lunchboxes, and in the everyday vocabulary of Americans across the country. This unexpected shift in focus created deep rifts among the cast and creative team. Both Roll and Amos had signed on to create a show that would elevate and dignify black representation, but they watched in growing horror as JJ began to embody the very stereotypes they had fought to avoid. The writers would put a chicken hat on JJ and have him bug his eyes out, Amos recalled years later. I had serious issues with the direction the character was taking. I felt we were falling into the trap of the very stereotypes we had set out to destroy. What few viewers realized was that John Amos was fighting these battles during every table read, script meeting, and rehearsal. He frequently challenged the predominantly white writing staff about their portrayals of black characters and refused to film scenes he found demeaning. During one infamous confrontation, Amos reportedly asked the writers, "How long have you been black? How can you write about an experience you've never lived?" The breaking point came during the third season when Amos objected to a scene where two white characters were supposed to enter the Evans apartment and spit on the floor. James Evans would never allow anyone to disrespect his home like that, especially in front of his children, Amos argued. This man works 3 jobs to maintain his dignity and protect his family. He would throw them out, or worse, though he won that particular battle. The constant friction led executives to make a shocking decision. John Amos would not return for the 4th season of Good Times. His character was abruptly killed off in a car accident while working in Mississippi, leading to one of television's most gut-wrenching moments when Florida received the news of her husband's death. Esther Roll's raw emotional delivery of "damn, damn, damn" still resonates as one of the most powerful moments in sitcom history. Ironically, the episode dealing with James's death and its aftermath delivered exactly the kind of meaningful, socially relevant storytelling that Amos had been fighting for all along. But the loss of the family patriarch fundamentally changed Good Times, shifting it away from the original vision of a complete black family overcoming adversity together. Esther Roll's disappointment with the show's new direction was palpable. In an unusually candid interview, she criticized the increased focus on JJ. "He's 18 and he doesn't work. He can't read or write. He doesn't think." The show didn't start out to be that. Little by little, they have made JJJ more stupid and enlarged the role. Negative images have been slipped in on us through the character of the oldest child. Jimmy Walker, caught in the middle of this ideological battle, later admitted he was painfully aware of his co-star's disapproval. "I was never friends with Esther Roll. I was never friends with John Amos," Walker revealed decades later. "We worked together, but there was never any friendship, any closeness." The tensions were so deep that years later, Walker was notably absent from Roll's funeral, the only main cast member who didn't attend. Despite her growing frustration, Roll stayed with the show for one more season after Amos's departure. But when her contract expired after the 4th season, she too left Good Times, unable to reconcile her vision with the show's evolution. The writers explained Florida's absence by having her marry Carl Dixon, Moses Gunn, and move to Arizona. The 5th season of Good Times continued without either of its original adult stars, focusing instead on the Evans children under neighbor Willona Woods' Jeanette Dubois' watchful eye. Predictably, ratings declined sharply, leading CBS and the producers to make an unprecedented move. They asked Esther Roll to return. Surprisingly, Roll agreed, but on her terms. She demanded not only a higher salary but also specific changes to the show's content. JJ would need to show more maturity and ambition. And perhaps most tellingly, she insisted that the character of Carl Dixon be eliminated entirely. As a devout Christian, Roll had been uncomfortable with Florida marrying a man who didn't share her faith, especially so soon after James's death. The writers complied, awkwardly explaining that Carl had died of cancer, making Florida a widow for the 2nd time in as many years. Roll returned for the show's 6th and final season, bringing a measure of the original dignity back to the series, though it never fully recaptured its early promise. Amid this backstage drama, Good Times introduced a young actress who would go on to become one of the biggest stars in entertainment history. Janet Jackson joined the cast in Season 5 as Penny Gordon Woods, an abused child who was eventually adopted by Willona. Though only 11 years old, Jackson brought remarkable depth to this challenging role, which tackled the difficult subject of child abuse with unprecedented frankness for a primetime sitcom. What viewers didn't see was the harsh reality Jackson faced as a child actress. Behind the scenes, producers criticized her weight and appearance, demanding she lose weight despite her young age. When her body began developing naturally, she was forced to bind her chest with bandages to maintain Penny's childlike appearance. It was traumatizing, Jackson revealed years later. I was just a little girl trying to do my job, but I was constantly made to feel that my body was wrong, that I was wrong. Those experiences affected my relationship with my body for decades afterward. Despite these deep-rooted conflicts and personal struggles, Good Times managed to deliver groundbreaking television that tackled subjects rarely addressed in primetime comedy. Episodes dealt with alcoholism, racial discrimination, political corruption, and the systemic inequalities that trapped families in poverty. The show never shied away from hard truths, even as it searched for laughter amid hardship. One of the show's most powerful episodes, The Lesson, featured JJJ being shot by a gang member, a storyline that forced the character to confront the consequences of his choices and allowed Jimmy Walker to showcase dramatic depth beyond his comedic persona. Another standout, JJ in Trouble, tackled the dangers of sexually transmitted diseases at a time when such topics were taboo on television. Even as the Evans family made viewers laugh, they were breaking new ground and creating space for more authentic black stories on television. Without Good Times, later successes like The Cosby Show, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and Blackish might never have found their way to America's living rooms. When Good Times finally ended in 1979 after 6 tumultuous seasons, its cast members went their separate ways, carrying both the triumph and the trauma of their experience. John Amos channeled his frustration into a remarkable career renaissance, earning an Emmy nomination for his role as the adult Kunta Kinte in Roots and appearing in classic films like Coming to America and Die Hard 2. Esther Roll won an Emmy award for her performance in Summer of My German Soldier and continued to choose roles that aligned with her principles. Until her death in 1998, Jimmy Walker never quite escaped JJ's shadow, though he maintained a successful career in stand-up comedy. Bernadette Stanis used her platform as television's first black teenage sex symbol to advocate for Alzheimer's research after her mother's diagnosis. Ralph Carter, who played Michael, largely left Hollywood behind to focus on theater and music in New York. Janet Jackson, of course, transcended her difficult introduction to show business to become one of the most successful recording artists of all time, selling over 100 million records worldwide and inspiring generations of performers. The legacy of Good Times extends far beyond its 133 episodes. It changed how America saw the black family unit, bringing humanity and dimension to people and experiences that had previously been ignored or caricatured. It showed that even in the harshest conditions, family, love, and dignity could prevail, and perhaps most importantly, it proved that authentic black stories could resonate with the mainstream American audience. The battles fought behind the scenes, painful as they were for those involved, ultimately pushed television toward more thoughtful, respectful representation. Every time Rolla demanded better for Florida or Amos refused to compromise James's dignity, they were fighting not just for their characters but for authentic representation of black life in American media. We were trying to do something that had never been done before. Norman Lear reflected years later. There were bound to be growing pains and disagreements. But what Esther and John were fighting for, dignity, authenticity, respect, those principles helped shape not just Good Times, but all the shows that came after. Today, as we rewatch episodes of Good Times, we can appreciate not only the groundbreaking show that made it to our screens, but also the even more revolutionary show that its stars were fighting to create. One where black families were portrayed with all the complexity, love, and dignity they deserved. So next time you laugh at JJ's antics or feel moved by the Evans family's struggles, remember the real-life battles being fought behind those scenes. Battles that ultimately help transform how America sees and tells black stories, both the good times and the bad. Drop a comment below with your favorite Good Times moment or character. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more untold stories from your favorite classic TV shows. Stay tuned. The truth behind what you watched growing up might surprise you.